Hi friends, and welcome to another colour along. But before I start colouring, I'm just going to talk about oceans, because what we have is a whole new oceans. Now, you know that we've been going through a whole back catalogue and giving you not only the Amazon printed versions, which are available all around the world, but we've also been updating a new version called the Classic Edition, which you can tell by the Classic Edition logo in the top corner. And we have now completed the Classic Edition in both paperback and hardcover for every book. So this is Oceans, and I'm very excited to go through it today. We have been going back through the back catalogue also and updating our duplicates and adding duplicates with a difference. And we have updated Oceans. Oceans is now slightly changed. So you can see from the old cover, we have done some environmental cleansing and gotten rid of some of the industrial waste from the top there. And we've added a new friendlier font in the title, and we've kept the same color. We've moved the whale a little bit, but I think this is a lovely, cleaner cover. But yeah, you can see there's some changes made to the cover. But before I color, let's flip through and I'll show you all the pages in the new book. Now, before I go, all versions are the same. The Classic Edition paperback, the Classic Edition hardcover, the Amazon printed version, and the artist edition version, if you're in the UK, all have exactly the same illustrations in them. There are no differences. So what you see here is the same illustrations. All you have to choose is which paper and which version of the book is best for you, your colouring style, and the mediums that you prefer to use. So let's quickly flip through. Here we are. We've got the book belongs to page. And I think we tweaked this a little bit and removed some of the black backgrounds there. But it's the same illustration. This is where you can put your name in. And here we go. Jellyfish is an illustration that exists. And this is our water cages. Now this is a version of the illustration that was in the original book. And the original illustration from the original book is in the back as a duplicate, but I just tweaked it up a little bit. I made it a little simpler and I put different creatures in the water cages. So I'm quite fond of this page because it's a little bit steampunkish, but while also being ocean focused. And here we have Coral Reef, which is exactly the same as it's always been. We have the Lighthouse, which I'm very fond of, and that's the same. This is Who's Next, which always makes me laugh. And that's the same as it's always been. Whale of a Time. Well, you can't get rid of that, can you? Look, he's having a whale of a time. Treasure Island. And The Deadliest Catch. So these are ones you'll all be aware of if you know anything about oceans. This is our seahorse page. And this is Utopia. So all of these are what has already been in Oceans. Treasure Hunters. Lighthouse version 2, or number 2. And here we have Island Dream. So far, we've stuck with what we had because what we had was really, really awesome. And this is our first change, Mermaid Throne. This is a new illustration, never been published before. And I thought, it's an oceans book and we have no mermaids. So now we do have mermaids. And these mermaids look like they mean business. And that is a cute pufferfish. So this is Mermaid Throne, a brand new illustration for Oceans. Never been published before, but out now on all versions of Oceans. And we have Wrong Choice, which is our little Castaway series. He's still there. And Sushi, which is another favourite. And here we have Dream Home and Atlantis. So these are all staying as they were from the original. We have Hello. And this is the same, but I have removed the black from this side. Just making it all a little bit simpler. All right, this is also a new illustration. So this is Family Vacation. And these little family of bears is obviously being or going on a cruise. And they're in paradise. There's a beach, there's a dolphin, there are cockatoos or parrots in the trees. And they look like they're ready to have some fun, all except for this little guy who seems to be grumpy. Maybe it's because there's a crab biting him. So yeah, that's it. just a fun little ocean themed illustration, which is new for oceans. All right, here we have sea turtles. And I've done minor tweaks to, like this one, I added a border and I played a little bit with their eyes. This is a new illustration for oceans called the Widow's Watch. And here we have our widow standing out looking to sea at the sailors that are coming home. And I think the fun part of this is not only this picture, which could be really fun to colour and all really moody, but this border is pretty epic and would be just awesome fun to really get into. All right, bigger. Now there's no way I'm going to change this illustration because I love it. And this is Holiday. Now this existed in the previous version of Oceans, but I added some people just for a little bit of action to the scene here. People will look like they're up working, fishing, getting ready for a day, or finishing up a day with the same fun scene. And Infinity Wave is, I think, our final illustration. Now I have, from here on, got 9 duplicates with a difference. So this is the second set of images. And I have included this page from the front information pages. And I've just, it's called Crab King, because we've added a little crab, so you can colour this page now as part of the duplicates. And here's our water cages. This was from the original, but I changed it up for the front, but in the back it still exists. And this is our lighthouse, which is a duplicate of the one from the front, and it's a little bit different. As you can see, we've it's basically a different illustration with similar sort of waves going on. And this, of course, is what was the front cover, but I've changed it up a little bit. I put a little cat in there, and that's Jacques Cateau, investigating the ocean. I have left all the cool pipes in. This is just a fun little page, which is slightly changed from what was in the previous version. And here we have a duplicate of Mermaid Throne, and you can see that it's gone a little bit dark. We do have a skull instead of a cute pufferfish, and this is not just a mermaid, but also has a Medusa head, so crazy stuff's going on. It's also a night sky. So depending what mood you're in, I guess would depend on which Mermaid Throne you chose to colour. And we have Wrong Answer, which is the duplicate for Wrong Choice, which you saw further in here. Where is it? Let's find it. That's our Wrong Choice. And the duplicate we've now got was Wrong Answer, which is obviously these two girls are stomping off. He's like, oh, he said the wrong thing. And this is our Dream Home duplicate. So that was our original, and I've changed it up a little bit. So this is the Dream Home now with a fish tank with some hermit crabs coming to visit. And of course, family vacation. Here it was happy, tropical paradise. Here we've gone a little bit Lord of the Flies. You can see that the cruise liner has sunk. There's no dolphins, there's sharks now. Got crazy monkeys in the trees, and our family have reverted to a little bit more of a primal state. And at least this guy looks like he's having fun now. That's what happens when you get rid of your technology. And this is our Widow's Watch duplicate. Now let's have a look at Widow's Watch in the front. So here is, this is a little bit simpler. We get rid of the boat. She's looking out now to the ocean and the moon and the stars. There's more yearning in this version of it. And that's the end. So that, my friends, is the new Oceans. As I said, this version is now the version. So all of the illustrations in all of the editions are the same throughout. I'm very excited to launch this updated version of Oceans. And as I said, it's in the Amazon printed version. It's in the Classic Editions paperback and the Classic Edition hardcover. And it's also in the Artist Edition. If you happen to live in the UK, you can grab this. Exactly all the same illustrations. It's just different papers and different covers if you like the hardcover. So I hope you agree. I think we've improved Oceans. We've tweaked it a little bit. We've added a little bit more interest with a few different illustrations. So I'm very excited to show you this new book, and I'm very excited to now color it. So I'm going to get Family Vacation underway. All right, guys, let's get started. This is Family Vacation. I do have a sheet of paper and a sheet of acetate just to protect the page behind this page, because I am going to use some alcohol markers. And I'm tossing up whether to do a blue sky in tropical vein or whether to go with like a red sunset. I think I might go with blue sky. I'm just going to use this color called Arctic Blue from my Hoo Honolulu Plus range. I'm going to start darker up the top, or darker when I've looked at my other colors, but I'm going to go lighter as I go down towards the horizon. Well, just going to fill in this Arctic Blue. It's probably about here. And I'm just going to concentrate on this middle section for now and bring in this color called Frost. Because I want to get this blended while it's sort of wet. So I'm going to blend up, use the flat nib because I think I get better traction for blending with that. I'm going to work up a little bit back up into that Arctic Blue with my Frost. And I'm going to swap back to my lovely brush nib for the details. Now that I've got that nicely blended. And then I'm going to bring in this color called Mint Wisp, which is sort of a greeny vibe. I just want to blend that in. Which gives us a lovely sky. So I'm going to bring back my Arctic Blue. We'll just work that back down this way. Back into our Frost. And our Mint Wisp. And we'll just do the same on the other side. With our Arctic Blue. And I'm probably giving it a little bit of a curve. Just for fun. And our Frost. And we've got a little bit of sky at the bottom here behind this parrot. I'm just going to do that Mint Wisp. All right, I'm going to bring in this color called Lemon Chiffon. A nice light yellow. I just think this is a bit too green. And maybe if I put a bit of yellow in, it'll look more sunsetty. Then a little bit of that Mint Wisp, because I just want to blend that in. And while I've got that lemon chiffon, with this beach that goes all the way around, let's get some of that yellow in to indicate the sand. Now, as we get up to these palm branches, we're sort of veering into the palm branches. So I'm going to get that mint wisp, sort of blend that into our lemon chiffon a little bit. And then I'm going to grab some of this honeydew melon. And then this is a colour called Fresh Green. All right, I'm going back to this sand. I've got this colour called Summer Lemon, which just sounds like it should be involved in our sand, doesn't it? I'm just going to try and get a gradation in our sand here so that it's light towards the top where the light would be coming from, and darker towards the base of it. Even get some of that going up into here. And I'm going to just play with a little bit of this colour called Butter, which is even just slightly darker still, and towards the base. Maybe even further still to this colour called Canary. I think that works well. So I'm going to grab that Summer Lemon again. And I really love that name, Summer Lemon. So I'm wondering what you guys think of the updated oceans. I really, really love the front cover. And I'm also quite fond of the new and updated illustrations that I've added in. So let me know if you like them too. There are not yet any digital download versions of this book available, but I will get around to that. And I was thinking of doing some of the packs that include the only the updated illos. So if you want to just, if you already got oceans, but you did want to get in some of those new illustrations, you can grab the digital pack, which would give you those. Canary, here it goes. This is the darker yellow, just down in the base here. I'm also going to use that to give some shadows to some stuff. Now I am going to bring that same sand down to below these guys. So they're sort of still on the beach, if you know what I mean. And this is more lemon chiffon. Here we have a bottle of spilled suntan lotion, or spilling suntan lotion. I'm going to work backwards. So this is our summer lemon. So in reverse, we came from light to dark. Here we're going from light to dark the other way, up towards where the shadows would be, which is created by all these guys and their luggage. And then I'm going to bring in my canary just up a little bit towards the top. Right, let's get back up into this scene. Let's work down from the top. So I've got this honeydew melon, we've got these palm trees. We've already chosen our colours up here, so let's just bring that into these. And I think what we've got will look to be frangipani flowers here, and these, I guess, are frangipani leaves. Well, I don't guess, I know because I drew them. So yes, frangipani leaves. I'm going to bring some of that lighter green into those as well while we're here. And then some of that fresh green that we used in our palm trees, we're going to use here again, just towards the end. And I love the way these brushes sort of flick in. So sort of auto blending for you. Makes me happy. And do this and leave sort of the edges and the tops to be lighter. All right, let's look at our palm trunks. This is a colour called Camel. Blend that back up into there. And then just bring it down, fill in our trunk. Nice and carefully. Leave the parrot's toes alone. Try not to paint over your frangipani like I just did. And do the same to this. And while we've got our camel out, I'm just using that flick technique to blend that in there automatically. All right, this is a colour called Sandalwood. And I'm going to use that to just sort of indicate some shadows. And I'm imagining the light source is coming from the sun, which is just set behind that boat, ship, liner. Yeah, same on this one. I think that looks great. All right, I'm going to do the same on this side, but I'll be doing it on the other side of the palm branches because the light's coming down the center of our page. All right, let's just quickly look at this island, and I'm going to use that fresh green to, I think there's some green parts and then there'll be some rock parts, but for the green parts, I'm going to give them some light tops and then come back in with a darker green. I'm going to use this jade green for the lush rainforest that's happening on this little island or headland out here. And that is beautiful. Now I've got these big Monstera leaves down here, or philodendron leaves, so I'm going to do that jade green on those as well. Some sort of broad-leafed tropical plant. Take your pick, which one you prefer. And I'm going to do that on this side as well. All right, this is a little bit darker green. It's called a sea green. And I'm just going to sort of use that to give us some shadows and texture in our darker greens. All right, I'm going to bring some greys in. This is a platinum grey, just for our little mountain at the back here. And this is a darker grey called stone grey. Right, let's look at this water. This is my mint wisp, which is a nice greeny, bluey light, really light. And I'm going to put that about there and about here. And I'm going to do that here as well. Maybe around this dolphin a little bit. All right, then I'm going to bring in this colour called seafoam green, which seems quite apt to me. All right, that looks good. I've got this really, it's a darker green, it's called teal. I'm not sure what it's going to do, but I'm going to just sort of play with it in here. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Give us some watery texture. I'm sort of fond of that. And I guess this shadow is going to be, this island's going to be casting a shadow over our water. So I'm going to sort of play with that and bring it in. And then I'm going to come back over with my teal. I'm going to use this nib because I want to sort of blend it a bit. And this nib gives me a little bit more pressure. And this is our seafoam green again. I'm going to do that there. All right, now I'm going to come back in at this side. All right, that's not quite so much of an island to cast a shadow, but I do want just to have a little bit of texture in that ocean. All right, let's get that seafoam. I'm going to leave some lighter splashes. Man, I'm going to play with this teal. Yeah, I think a little bit of lemon chiffon. A bit of that mint wisp. Let's get that summer lemon. Now, I just want to do these frangipanis on this side. I'm going to do them white and yellow. And on this side, I'm going to do a little bit of yellow. But they're also going to have some pink in them. A little bit of ballet pink. And I'm just going to bring in a little bit of a darker pink. This is called light rouge. With that light rouge, I'm going to take on this starfish. All right, let's take on these parrots. This is canary. I think their beaks need to be a nice yellow. And I'm going to bring in this melon yellow just to darken up the beaks. And let's make them red-headed parrots. So let's get some magenta. Red tail feathers. I'm going to bring in some grape jelly just to do some shadows on that. All right, I think a little bit more canary for this collar here. And then what about some fresh green? I'm going to match that with a little bit of jade green. Let's match this guy over here. Magenta for the head and the wings and the tail. A little bit of that canary for that collar. I forgot his feet, so let's continue with that. And some fresh green. Right, bringing my grape jelly into play. And some of that jade green. All right, let's take on our dolphin. This is oyster grey. And this is our platinum grey. And here's our lovely light grey called porcelain. Give him a little belly. So I'm going to use that porcelain just to put in a bit of shadow in these eyes. All right, we're going to have to take on this boat now, and I'm going to give it a nice magenta as the bottom of the boat. Also going to give it some lovely magenta funnels. Yeah, I think a little bit of grape jelly isn't going to go astray as a bit of shadowing. And then I think let's get some nice deep royal blues for the hull. So this is denim. And then I'm bringing this colour called Deep Royal Blue. Yeah, I think these doors will be painted that colour. And it wisp for our little windows on our upper decks. Maybe even for these. And I'm going to bring in a porcelain just to add some shadows because I want to leave these nice and white like it's a cruise liner. To do that, I'm going to add in these shadows. And even this little stripe, I'm going to leave white. I'm just going to shadow it up a bit with that porcelain. I think a bit of canary on our anchor. There seems to be a water slide on the back of that boat, so let's play with some nice bright colours. I'm going to add some of that, this is fresh green, just as sort of reflections off that glass. We've got some shells here. I'm going to base those in porcelain. I'm going to play with a little bit of camel. All right, I'm going to do this while I'm working on this top layer. I'm going to just add some white highlights in to different areas of our picture. And I'm just going to add in some little white to the waves of our ocean. I think our little dolphin needs some highlights. Well, there you go. I'm really happy with that ocean. All right, I'm moving on to the family now. Let's get them coloured. What do we think? Let's go with some, well, they're bears, so I think they're all going to have to be shades of brown, aren't they? So let's bring our camel into play. And this is looking like the mama bear. And I'm going to bring in some of that sandalwood that we used on our palm trees. And I think this daddy bear needs to be a darker brown. So we're going to go with that sandalwood. And I'm loving his Hawaiian shirt. And I'm sure his legs are going to shine through down here. And this is a darker colour called maple syrup. And I'm going to do some of that camel on this parts of the bear. And what about some oyster grey for our mama bear? Just around the snout. And I'm going to do the colouring of this little guy similar to the mum, so I'm going to use this camel. And then some sandalwood. I'm going to bring in this colour called mushroom white. And a bit of cream colour. Just was a bit too grey. I'm going to add some of that sort of yellowy brown to there. And this is still our cream colour. And I think a bit of mushroom white for our little baby. All right, cream colour. Let's do cream colour for the snout and things of this little guy. Girl? I think it's a girl. And our mushroom white. We've got a little bit of brown grey. All right, I'm just going to bring some pink in. This is a colour called lychee juice. All right, I'm going to bring some magenta in for this little hibiscus flower in her hat. Yeah, I think a little bit of grape jelly. And I think summer lemon for the stamen there. All right, light rouge. I think we need a pinkish spade. I'm going to put a little bit of magenta in there. What about some ballet pink? I think some seafoam green. And I'm going to do the inside of here as cream colour. And I think some light rouge. Right, I'm going to use this sea green. All right, this is Arctic blue. And we've got some denim here, so let's bring out the denim. Colour this in denim. Got a little touch of deep royal blue. Right, I think we need magenta. Yeah, let's give a little bit of magenta to our crab. And then what about a little bit of fluoro orange? Just for fun. All right, I'm going for some seafoam green because I've got these really cool flippers. And I had a pair of flippers when I was little that I borrowed from my dad that were this seafoam green. And you know, that was some years ago and they're still in existence. I'm pretty sure that they still get used, which is pretty cool when you think about it. There they are, seafoam green. And this is a colour called papaya. I think its floaties should be like one of these bright high-vis colours. I think papaya is going to work well for that. And what about some melon yellow? Do you think that'll give us enough shadow? And do you think the goggles are a matching set? All right, this is sort of like silicon, isn't it? So I'm going to get some of that mint wisp in to that and to this. Yeah, I'm going to get some lychee juice into that ear, maybe even some here. Yeah, I think some denim for his pants. And that's some of that deep royal blue. There's a bit of shadow. All right, I've got this Hawaiian shirt. I think maybe we go red. This is magenta. I think some red on the cap there would match. It's a very stylish pair. He's going to colour coordinate, isn't he? This is our grape jelly. And then maybe some ballet pink. Some lychee juice. And what about some lemon chiffon? Get some of these fish going in that. Some mint wisp. And what about some cream colour? All right, got some sunglasses and I'm going to go with my stone grey on those. And this camera down here, I'm also going to have some stone grey on that. And some porcelain on our silver bits for our camera. And for the lens, I'm going to have a little bit of Arctic blue and a little bit of frost. All right, I'm going to get some mint wisp on my little hat for this lady bear. And I think she's got a matching dress. And I'm going to do some nice bright butter flowers. Now let's do a bit of frost on this bucket. Followed by a little bit of Arctic blue. And a melon yellow handle. All right, we're getting there, guys. This is frost. I'm going to do one of these bags that are sort of light blue. When you run out of luggage, you grab one of those cheap bags, stick everything else in. Maybe your beach towels, maybe your picnic. And I'm going to bring some Arctic blue in on top of that, because I think these things sort of stripy, aren't they? I think coral pink. A little singlet on here. Or a halter top. I don't know what these things are called. And then maybe some matching shoes. And I think some vivid pink is going to come into play here nicely for us. What about some vivid pink on this? I'm going to do some polka dots on this. I think vivid pink is going to work really well for those, so let's do that. All right, let's do platinum grey. This guy's bag's going to be a sensible grey, isn't it? What about Arctic grey? No, I mean Arctic blue, sorry, for the backpack that this lady's wearing. And then this will be matching luggage, of course. And I think this bag's going to be lychee juice. Maybe this one too. Or I think a little sunset on our bottle. A touch of melon yellow. And a deep royal blue cap. And I think a bit of ballet pink around this. All right, get some light rouge just to add in some shadows on our little bag here. And here. And what about a touch of grape jelly? All right, I'm going to bring in some platinum grey just to add in some shadows to things. And what do you think? A little bit of highlight action? All right, I'm going to add in some of those white stripes for this bag. Well, I think we're going to call that one finished. That is Family Vacation, and that's from the updated Oceans colouring book, which is available in 4 different versions: the Amazon printed, the Classic Edition paperback, the Classic Edition hardcover, and the Artist Edition if you're in the UK. And we're working on getting the Artist Editions to other markets as soon as we can. But guys, look, that was so much fun. I hope you liked the flip through of Oceans. I hope you loved colouring along with Family Vacation. Thanks so much for watching and colouring along with me. And this was just a fun thing to colour. Look at all those bears and their family stuff. And remember to like and subscribe. I'm going to no doubt see you in another video, but for now I am going to say goodbye. I'll see you later.